Greetings, mortals. Tonight, we enter a stretch of land shaped by time, water, and something older. First, something that walks on two legs and leaves no survivors. It's been blamed for shredded campsites, mutilated bodies, and silence from the highest levels of government. Next, we explore and step into a circle where even the devil is said to walk.
The land between the lakes was not always federal land. Before the 1960s, it was home to dozens of small communities, isolated farms, and forgotten graveyards. In 1963, under President Kennedy, the Tennessee Valley Authority began a sweeping acquisition program, resettling over 800 families, flooding cemeteries, and bulldozing what remained. Locals didn't go quietly. Stories started to resurface, tales their grandparents had told, of a creature in the woods that walked on two legs and howled like no animal should. Settlers had spoken of it since the 1800s, warning children not to wander far after sunset. But things didn't just stay in the past. In the 1970s, hunters began reporting strange sightings, clawed prints too large to be canine, shredded deer carcasses left uneaten. Then came the smell, sulfur and rot, hanging in the trees after something big had passed. It all came to a head in the 1980s. A series of unpublicized disappearances began cropping up in park records. Campers who never returned, rangers who went missing for hours and wouldn't talk about why. But it was the 1982 massacre that turned whispers into terror. The story was quickly buried, sanitized into an animal attack. But locals knew better. The government had cleared the land once. Now they seemed to be covering it up. The 1980s were supposed to be a decade of progress, but deep inside the land between the lakes, progress didn't reach far enough. The details of the infamous LBL attack are fragmented, kept alive only by whispers and survivors too afraid to speak on record. The most repeated version centers around a spring night in 1982. A family of 4, names unrecorded or redacted, arrived at a remote camping area near the northern peninsula of LBL. They were never seen alive again. Campers in the nearby area reported distant screams around midnight. One described it as an animal, but not one I've ever heard in this forest. Another claimed to have seen shadows moving between the trees, massive and upright. By dawn, the forest rangers had cordoned off the area. When a pair of hunters stumbled onto the site the next day, the scene was burned into their minds forever. The family's camper was ripped open like a tin can. Blood trailed across the site. The father's body was found near the fire pit, his chest torn open. The mother had been dragged 40 feet into the woods, almost unrecognizable. One child was found high in a tree, mangled. The second child was never recovered. Local authorities responded quickly, but not alone. Witnesses recall unmarked military helicopters landing in a nearby clearing. Men in forest camo, not local police, took over the scene. Cameras were confiscated. Roadblocks were established. And the official story? A bear attack. No photos released. But bears don't rip open RVs. They don't drag bodies into trees. And they don't vanish after killing with such terrifying precision. A former ranger who spoke under condition of anonymity later admitted, "We were told to shut up. We were told it was for our safety, but I saw the tracks. I saw the claw marks. No bear did that." Locals tell stories of strange sightings to this day. Howls that shake the windows, red eyes in the trees, livestock found ripped to pieces, and always the same warning: don't camp north. Not unless you want to disappear. The beast didn't vanish. It just got better at hiding. The beast of land between the lakes has never been captured, never been officially acknowledged. But theories, there are many. The most chilling involve government experiments. Some believe the land's conversion into federal property wasn't just about recreation or conservation. Hidden deep in LBL are remnants of old World War II bunkers and Cold War facilities. Theorists suggest bioengineering tests took place, cross-species splicing, behavior modification on wolves or dogs, leading to an apex predator that escaped or was released. They point to the sudden federal control, the rapid suppression of reports, and the eerie silence that followed every incident. Then there are the native warnings. Long before settlers arrived, indigenous stories warned of a being called Liminal, or the Walking Howl. Described as part man, part wolf, this creature was said to guard sacred lands, punish trespassers, and test the spiritual corruption of those who entered. Shamanic carvings found in the cave near the shoreline show figures with elongated limbs, clawed hands, and animal heads. Coincidence or warning? Folklorists tie the beast to broader dogman lore, a staple of Appalachian and Midwestern legend. From Michigan's Dogman to the Beast of Bray Road in Wisconsin, the profile is similar. Bipedal, muscular, canine-headed, and territorial. These aren't werewolves. No full moon required. They are something else. Something that hunts not to feed, but to erase. Psychologists argue that the beast is a metaphor, fear shaped by wilderness isolation and historic trauma. But the claw marks remain. The stories don't fade, and too many people claim the same thing, a feeling of being watched, hunted, stalked. Whatever the beast is, whether government creation, spiritual guardian, or cryptid remnant, it's never been proven false. And it's never stopped showing up. The evidence surrounding the beast of LBL isn't confined to legend. Physical signs, photographs, maps, and audio continue to surface from those who've dared to venture too far in. Start with the terrain. LBL's landscape is a cryptid's paradise. Thick forests, swampy ravines, and winding back roads. Satellite maps show countless unmarked trails, routes locals say don't appear on official park maps. Some of these paths lead to the remains of 19th century settlements, overgrown and buried, where stories of the creature began. Then there are the claw marks, photographed, posted, and shared online. Most appear on trees 8 to 10 feet off the ground, long, parallel gashes, deep enough to bleed sap. Hunters report finding them miles from trails, always near kill sites, deer carcasses stripped clean but never eaten. Maps, used by cryptid researchers, mark clusters of sightings, red dots converging in patterns that follow ridgelines and old abandoned roadbeds. These aren't random. They move like territory markers. Those who spent nights in the deep woods say you'll hear it before you see it. Heavy footsteps, branches breaking high off the ground, breathing that doesn't belong to any man. And then there's low growls and screams recorded deep in the woods, studied by biologists who confirm. Not bear, not cat, unknown. Some call the footage hoaxes. Others, especially those who've walked the tree line at dusk, don't need a second opinion. If you go looking, bring more than a flashlight. Roughly 50 miles south of Greensboro, North Carolina, hidden down a winding rural road, lies a barren circle of earth roughly 40 feet across. Perfectly round, deceptively quiet. No trees grow within its bounds, no grass, and no animal, wild or domestic, will willingly cross it. Local records first mention the Devil's Tramping Ground in the 1800s, though Native American oral traditions speak of the area far earlier. Early European settlers claimed their horses refused to enter the circle, sometimes bucking in fear or going stiff-legged with dread. Livestock would veer around it, even if it meant breaking fences. People began to whisper that this was where the devil came at night, to walk in circles, pacing the earth as he plotted evil. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the legend only grew. Campers reported hearing footsteps circling their tents, slow, measured, relentless. Travelers who tried to spend the night inside the circle would wake up outside it, as if something had moved them in their sleep. By the 1920s, it was already being featured in regional ghost tours and superstitions. Newspapers referred to it as Satan's Track. Some said it was a gateway, others a grave for something ancient and restless. But one fact always remained constant. Nothing grows in the circle. Even after reseeding attempts by curious researchers, even after controlled soil tests, whatever lives in the devil's tramping ground, if anything, wants it bare. As interest in the devil's tramping ground intensified in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, amateur researchers, skeptics, and thrill seekers began visiting the site with cameras, scientific tools, and sometimes just bravado. What they found only deepened the mystery. Multiple groups documented items left in the center of the circle: tent stakes, rocks, personal effects being moved overnight. Some were hurled outward, found feet away in the morning. Others vanished entirely. One video from 2003 shows a backpack placed in the middle at dusk, only to be missing by dawn, with no sign of disturbance in the surrounding soil. Dogs react with visible terror near the circle. Hikers describe otherwise friendly pets freezing, whining, or backing away when pulled toward the center. One pit bull owner recounted how her dog dropped to its belly, growled low, and refused to go forward, something she had never seen in years of hiking. And then there are the lights. Photographers report strange luminescent orbs flickering just above the ground at night, blue, white, and sometimes green. No consistent shape, no heat signature. The phenomenon has been captured on both film and digital. Skeptics suggest insects or lens flares, but those who've seen them swear otherwise. Drones flown over the site report signal interference. GPS mapping systems fail. Compass needles spin erratically when held at the exact center. One experiment placed metal rods in a grid across the circle. After 2 days, several were found bent or tilted despite calm weather. Whatever the origin, natural or not, something inside the circle repels consistency. Light, matter, even machines. It is a place that resists being known. For every formal investigation into the devil's tramping ground, there are dozens of unrecorded stories, told around campfires, posted in long forum threads, whispered in backwoods bars by people who've seen things. Some of the most unsettling reports come from overnight campers. One YouTuber who set up a live stream at the site in 2017 claimed to wake up outside his tent, which had been zipped shut from the inside. Playback from the live stream showed no movement until a single frame where his figure was seen standing just barely in the tree line. He had no memory of leaving the tent. Others speak of sleepwalking episodes, entire groups waking up in strange positions, sometimes outside the circle, sometimes in it. One couple reported waking up with matching bruises around their wrists, as if something had pulled them during the night. Their tent had been shredded. A local man told a podcast that he and his brother visited the circle in high school. They tossed a heavy metal pipe into the center. It landed with a thud. They turned around to grab a flashlight, and when they turned back, the pipe was gone. They never found it, even in daylight. It was like the ground swallowed it, he said, or something else did. Several amateur investigators have documented objects physically pushed out of the circle. Tripods tilted, gear cases flipped open, camera lenses shattered from the inside. These aren't hoaxes. The footage is raw, chaotic, and terrified. And then there's the sound. Several visitors describe hearing faint chanting or a low hum, undetectable on playback. One woman claims the audio of her overnight video glitched only during the hours she slept, like something didn't want to be heard. The Devil's Tramping Ground has attracted theories from across the spectrum: scientific, paranormal, folkloric, and conspiratorial. The most common theory rooted in legend is exactly what the name implies. The devil walks here. Some believe the circle is scorched by his nightly pacing, his fury leaving a supernatural residue that kills all life it touches. In this view, the tramping ground is a wound in the world, scarred by something never meant to walk among us. Others think it's a cursed patch of earth, perhaps tied to a burial site, a broken treaty, or a botched ritual. Native American legends from the area mention spirit trails, zones where the dead move between worlds. Could this circle be a portal? A kind of waste station for entities we were never meant to see? More speculative ideas point to geomagnetic anomalies. Compass interference and metal warping suggest a disruption in Earth's magnetic field. Some paranormal researchers argue these zones can amplify psychic energy, or worse, tear at the veil between dimensions. Then there's the conspiracy angle. Some theorists claim the military studied the area in the 1950s, shortly after similar patterns were found in Utah and southern New Mexico. These circles, they argue, form a network, each site tied to ancient ley lines or buried structures. Finally, some say it's all psychology. The circle's power lies not in the soil, but in the mind. A perfect storm of expectation, myth, and fear. A self-fulfilling mystery. But if that's true, why does the grass still refuse to grow?
There are places no compass should point toward. A forest carved by fear. A clearing scorched by something older than names. They say not all who vanish are taken. Some simply wander too close.